ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिके। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 11, Calculation of Time from the Atom. So, we are at the final section of this chapter, where we are discussing the fourth section, where there is a description of duration of universe and Lord Brahma's lifespan. So, we come to text 36. तस्यैव चान्ते कल्पोऽभूत् यं पाद्मम् अविचक्षते यद्बद्धेर्नाभिरसस् आसील्लोक सरोरुहम्.
The millennium which followed the first Brahma millennium is known as the Padma Kalpa because in that millennium the universal lotus flower grew out of the navel reservoir of water of the personality of Godhead Hari. Purport: the millennium following the Brahma Kalpa is known as the Padma Kalpa because the universal lotus grows in that millennium. The Padma Kalpa is also called the Pitra Kalpa in certain Puranas. Hare Krishna.
So, after the first millennium was the Brahma Kalpa, birth of Brahmaji. The second millennium is the growth of the universal lotus flower. And this is therefore known as Padma Kalpa. And this is also known as Pitru Kalpa in the Puranas. Text 37. Ayam tu katita kalpo dvitiyasyapi bharata varaha iti vikyato yatrachukaro harihi. Translation.
O descendant of Bharata, the first millennium is in the second half of the life of Brahma is also known as the Varaha millennium because the personality of God had appeared in that millennium as a hog incarnation. Purport: the different millennium known as the Brahma, Padma, and Varaha kalpas appear a little puzzling for the layman. There are some scholars who think these kalpas to be one and the same. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Brahma Kalpa is in the beginning of the first half appears to be Padma Kalpa. We can, however, simply abide by the text and understand that the present millennium is in the second half of the duration of the life of Brahma.
The first millennium in the second half life of the Brahma is also known as Varaha Kalpa. So here it is Varaha Kalpa, and there is the incarnation of Bhagavan. Yatra Asit Shukara Harihi. The Lord appeared in the Shukara incarnation, that is the hog incarnation. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that different millenniums are known as Brahma, Padma, and Varaha Kalpa. And they are appearing little puzzling because it is very difficult to comprehend the history. Even you will be very surprised even as such a early history as 300 years, but certain things are not exactly known when this exactly happened, right? So now we are talking about the thousands and crores of years of history, and therefore sometimes if it is here and there, and that's okay, that's perfectly fine, whether it is first half or second half. Scholars kavayopi atra mohitah, even the scholars are bewildered by the creation of the Lord, and we don't have to understand it completely well, right? Text 38. कालोऽयं द्विपरार्धाख्यो निमेष उपचर्यते अव्याकृतस्यानन्तस्य जगदात्मनः. Translation.
The duration of the two
Oh, go ahead, Prabhuji.
okay. The duration of the two parts of the Brahma's life, as above mentioned, is calculated to be equal to 1 nimeṣa, less than a second, for the Supreme Percent of Godhead, who is unchanging and unlimited and is the cause of all causes of the universe. Purport. The great sage Maitreya has given a considerable description of the time of different dimensions, beginning from the atom up to the duration of the life of Brahma. Now he attempts to give some idea of the time of the unlimited percent of God. He just gives a hint of his unlimited time by the standard of the life of Brahma. The entire duration of life of Brahma is calculated to be less than a second of the Lord's time, and it is explained in the Brahma Samhita 5.48 as follows. Yasaika nimishta kalam athavalambya जीवन्ति लोम विलजा जगदण्डनाथा विष्णुर्महान सह्य यस्य कला विशेषो गोविन्दम आदिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. I worship Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, whose plenary portion is Mahavishnu. All the heads of innumerable universes, the Brahmas, live only by taking shelter of the prime of the time occupied by one of his breaths. The impersonalists do not believe in the form of the Lord, and thus they would hardly believe in the Lord sleeping. Their idea is obtained by a poor fund of knowledge. They calculate everything in terms of man's capacity. They think that the existence of the Supreme is just the opposite of active human existence. Because the human being has senses, the Supreme must be without sense perception. Because human being has a form, the Supreme must be formless. And because the human being sleeps, the Supreme must not sleep. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, however, does not agree with such impersonalists. It is clearly stated herein that the Supreme Lord rests in Yoga Nidra, as previously discussed. And because he sleeps, naturally he must breathe, and the Brahma Samhita confirms that within his breathing period, innumerable Brahmas take birth and die. There is complete agreement between Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Brahma Samhita. Eternal time is never lost along with the life of Brahma. It continues, but it has no ability to control the Supreme Percent of Godhead, because the Lord is the controller of time. In the spiritual world, there is undoubtedly time, but it has no control over activities. Time is unlimited, and the spiritual world is also unlimited, since everything there exists on the absolute plane.
Now, the life of Brahma is given some indication towards the Supreme Lord. Kaloyam dviparardhakyo nimesh upacharyate. The duration of the two parardhas, that is the first Purva Parardha and the Uttara Parardha of Brahma's life, becomes one nimesh of the Supreme Lord. So what is the nimeṣa? Nimeṣa is proper right here, less than a second. And to be more precise, it is 8/15 of the second. That is slightly more than half the second of the Supreme Lord Mahavishnu's time. The Lord who is unchanging, unlimited, and the cause of all the causes of the universe. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the great sage Maitreya has given considerable description from the time from different dimensions. Look at the vastness of the description. From the atom up to the life of Brahma and going beyond the universe, material creation, the time span of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So why Bhagavatam is so beautiful? Because the expanse is huge, humongous. Right from the atom, you define the time. What is the time? Collection of the matter, traveling in the space, considering, that is how the time is defined. Atomic time is defined up to the life of Brahmaji in just 40 pages of this one chapter. Right? This is not a thesis on quantum physics and, PhD. No, this is just a side note. This is the side note, right? So this is the time, and this is the entire duration of Brahma now is less than a second, or to be more precise, 8/15th of the second of Mahavishnu. And therefore this celebrated verse comes in Brahma Samhita, Yasyaika Nishvasita. Nishvasita matlab shwasan bahar karna, like that it is. One is the breathing out. So when the Lord breathes out, Yasyaika Nishvasita kala mathavalambya, the innumerable universes are thrown out of the body of Mahavishnu. The pores of the body of Mahavishnu, innumerable universes are thrown out. And what happens? And then the Mahavishnu breathes in. After how long? After nimeṣa. After 8/15th of the second, Mahavishnu breathes in. He's 8/15th of the second. And all the universes are sucked inside the body of Mahavishnu. So this is Yasyaika Nishvasita Kala Mathavalambya. In the meantime, what happens? Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadandanatha. So here Jagadandanatha refers to Brahmaji. Right. So here so many Brahmas, they Jivanti, they take birth, they create, there are so many days pass on, so many kalpas happen, so many incarnations take place, thousands of manus, millions of demigods, billions of living entities, billions of years, all that happens. Jivanti, Loma, Vilaja, Jagadandanatha. And that is just one breath of the Supreme Lord Mahavishnu. Vishnur Mahan, he is Mahavishnu. Yaha, Yasya Kala Vishesho. And he is one of the primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary expansion of the Supreme Lord. Kala Vishesha, not even direct avatar. He is the Kala Vishesha. Right? Govindam, unto that Supreme Lord Govinda. Adi Purusham, who is Adi Purusha, Tamaham Bhajami. So Brahmaji is comparing his own life that, my Lord, by your breathing in and breathing out, billions of Brahmas like me, Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadandanatha. And you are not even you are directly breathing in, breathing out. One of your Kala Vishesha, one of your fourth level incarnation as a Mahavishnu. Of course, there is no difference between Lord Kṛṣṇa and Mahavishnu, but still it is not directly Kṛṣṇa who is breathing in and breathing out. He is enjoying with his flute in Golok Vrindavan. Here it is Mahavishnu who is breathing in and breathing out, and that is Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadandanatha. Srila Prabhupada says further that all the heads of the universe, including Brahmaji and everything, they are concluded in one breath of the Supreme Lord. Impersonalists do not believe in the Lord's Yuga Nidra because their thinking is matter is opposite to spirit, or limited is opposite to unlimited. So what the limited has, the human has the limited capacity because he has a form. Human has, so unlimited must not have a form. Human has some qualities, unlimited must be nirvishesha. Human sleeps, unlimited should never sleep. But they forget param bhava majananto. What they forget is that all these bhava, they actually come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead without the material inebrities. Right? All this because janmadiyasya, everything originates from the Supreme Lord. So the form and the qualities, the sleep, everything originates from the Supreme Lord. Right? Even in one place, Vishnu Sahasranam, the Lord is called as Stuti Priya. And because the Lord is Stuti Priya, right, the living entity is also Stuti Priya. He also, praiseworthy. Everyone is very happy when they are praised. Why? Because that is the quality in the Supreme Lord. So they do not believe in the sleeping of the Lord, but Lord sleeps. But there is a difference between a conditioned living entity sleep and the Lord sleeps. When Lord sleeps, there is the creation of the material energy. and the material creation. Prabhupada says further that there is complete agreement between Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Brahma Samhita. So this is so beautiful. There is, Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and Brahma Samhita. It is so much in sync with each other. And more you study all the Puranas, all the Itihasas, they are so much in sync with each other. If we can just understand how they are being spoken, there is absolutely no contradiction within the Vedic literature. So, eternal time is never lost from the life of Brahma. Along with the life of Brahma, time is unlimited. So is the spiritual world. So is the Supreme Lord, because everything exists there on the spiritual plane. Text 39. Kaloyam paramanvadir dviparardhant ishvarah naiveshitam prabhurbhumna ishvaro dhamama nimam. Translation?
Translation. Eternal time is certainly the controller of different dimensions, from that of the atom up to the superdivisions of the duration of Brahma's life. But nevertheless, it is controlled by the Supreme. Time can control only those who are body conscious, even up to the Satyaloka or the other higher planets of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Now, this shloka describes what is the jurisdiction of the time. Eternal time is certainly the controller of the different dimensions. From atom, from anu, kaloyam, paramanvadir, from paramanu to dviparabdha, everything is controlled by the Supreme Lord. But the time is controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Prabhur Bhumna Ishvaraha. But this time will act on those who are bodily conscious, that is dhamamaninaha. Right? Time can control only those who are body conscious, even up to the Satyaloka or the other planetary systems. What that means is, that means that when we go beyond the body, or when we perform the activities which is beyond the body, time will stop acting on you. That means we will start entering the eternal time. What is that shloka? That shloka is Sarvapadhi Vinirmuktam. So this is Sarvapadhi Vinirmuktam, means one is Dhamamaninaha. One is becoming free from the bodily concept of the life. Sarvapadhi Vinirmuktam Tatparatvena Nirmalam Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. And therefore, those devotees of the Lord, one can say that by performing devotional service, there is a beautiful verse in Bhagavatam also which says, by performing devotional service, devotees of the Lord will look very young and bright. Okay, as Prabhupada used to say, look at my devotees. They just look like the Vaikuntha people traveling on the planet Earth. By performing devotional service to the Lord, one will become young and beautiful. You don't have to apply so many, the creams and chemicals on the body. Simply perform devotional service, and there will be a freshness which will come by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Text 40. Vikarai sahito yuktair avisheshadi bhirakritah andakosho bahirayam panchashatakoti vistritah. Translation.
This phenomenal material world is expanded to a diameter of 4 billion miles as a combination of 8 material elements transformed into 16 further categories, within and without, as follows. Purport: as explained before, the entire material world is a display of 16 diversities and 8 material elements. The analytical studies of the material world are the subject matter of Sankhya philosophy. The first 16 diversities are the 11 senses and 5 sense objects, and the 8 elements are the gross and subtle matter, namely earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and ego. All these combined together are distributed throughout the entire universe, which extends diametrically to 4 billion miles. Besides this universe of our experience, there are innumerable other universes. Some of them are bigger than the present one, and all of them are clustered together under similar material elements as described below. Hare Krishna.
So this phenomenal material world is expanded to the diameter of 4 billion miles. And there are 8 material elements transformed into 16 further categories. So 8 material elements are Bhumi, Rapo, Anado, Vayu. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. These are the 8 material elements. 5 gross and 3 subtle. And they are transformed into 16 further categories. That is 11 plus 5. 11 senses, 5 Gyanendriya, 5 Karmendriya and Mana. So mind. And the 5 Tanmatras, Shabda, Rupa, Sparsha, Gandha. These are the 5 Tanmatras. This makes them 16 as a further category within and without. Srila Prabhupada explains that this is the beginning of the Sankhya philosophy. That, the counting of the elements and how they are. So the universe is 4 billion miles. And then there are other innumerable universes. And some of these universes are bigger than our universe as well. Text 41. Dashottaraadhikairyatra pravishta paramanuvat lakshyantargatarschaanye kotisho hyaparashayah. Translation.
The layers or elements covering the universes are each 10 times thicker than the one before, and all the universes clustered together appear like atoms in a huge combination. Purport: the coverings of the universes are also constituted of the elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and each is 10 times thicker than the one before. The first covering of the universe is earth, and it is 10 times thicker than the universe itself. If the universe is 4 billion miles in size, then the size of the earthly covering of the universe is 4 billion times 10. The covering of water is 10 times greater than the earthly covering. The covering of fire is 10 times greater than the watery covering. The covering of air is 10 times greater than that of the fire. The covering of ether is 10 times greater still than that of air, and so on. The universe within the coverings of matter appears to be like an atom in comparison to the coverings, and the number of universes is unknown even to those who can estimate the coverings of the universes.
So the layers of the elements, they will cover the universe 10 times progressively. So there is, after this entire universe, there is a covering of the earth, which is 10 times thicker. And 10 times of that is earth, water, fire, air, ether. This is how this covering. And within all these coverings, Srila Prabhupada explains, the universe within the coverings of the matter appears to be like an atom in comparison to the coverings. Right. And such how many universes? Ananta Koti Brahmandas. So such Ananta Koti Brahmandas are there, and one is very, very incapacitated, one is very, very kshudra, very small, even to fathom the universe the way it is. Now, the modern science gives a different definition of the universe, and they are bewildered in their own particular way. Okay, muhyanti yat surayaha. Muhyanti means how the big people are bewildered. So scientists are also bewildered in their own big way, and it will take another revelation. That I always think like this: that the Newton talked about matter, Einstein talked about energy. A scientist in the future will come and who will talk about consciousness. And these higher truths cannot be understood without a proper consciousness. So there has to be the elevation of consciousness. Then only the higher truths of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam will be revealed to us. But till then, we do not wait for science to match Bhagavatam. We simply accept Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, right? Because it is coming from the Guru Shishya Parampara, and this is the absolute literature. So this is how the coverings of the universes are. Text 42. So how it is, at one very simple way to understand this is just like, the allopathy has a particular outlook towards the body, and Ayurveda has a particular outlook towards the body. So allopathy will describe the body, and we have great regards to allopathy. But Ayurveda will describe the body in a completely different way. They will say about Kapha, Vata, and Pitta. And you say, "Arey, where is Vata? Show me the wind inside the body. Show me, the Agni inside. Show me fire in the body. Arey, if you put a fire in the body will jal jayega. Kahan se what? Agni you are talking about." So no, sir, we are not talking about Agni. It is like when you're sitting on the gas or something like that. There is Jatar Agni, this Agni, that Agni. Vayu, we are not talking about some wind flowing inside the body. We are talking about 10 types of airs are being described, right? We have seen those in Bhagavatam. So the worldview is completely different. Worldview is completely different. From the allopathic perspective, you cannot understand Ayurveda. You will just wonder, where is show me Agni, show me Jatar Agni. You will open the person's stomach and find out where is Jatar Agni. You will open person's body and find out where is the Vayu moving on, right? So our students are doing MBBS now. Nishita is doing MBBS. And she will search, where is the Vayu inside? No, you will not get Vayu like this. How? Because the paradigms are different. Similarly, the Bhagavatam paradigm of the Brahmanda is different than the paradigm that which we are seeing through modern science. So both have their own utility, but because the paradigms are different, you cannot just outrightly accept one and reject another. Correct. So this is, I always take a solace from this understanding that how allopathy looks at the body and how they are also doing, miraculous things, and how Ayurveda looks at the body and how even, Ayurveda is also doing miraculous things. But the outlook is completely different. The outlook is completely different, and both the outlooks work at the same time. Text 42. Tadahurakṣaram Brahma sarvakarana karanam Vishnordhama param sakshat purushasya mahatmanah. Translation.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Kṛṣṇa, is therefore said to be the original cause of all causes. Thus, the spiritual abode of Vishnu is eternal without a doubt, and it is also the abode of Mahavishnu, the origin of all manifestations. Purport: Lord Mahavishnu, who is resting in Yoga Nidra on the casual ocean and creating innumerable universes by his breathing process, only temporarily appears in the Mahatattva for temporary manifestation of the material worlds. He is plenary portion of Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa, and thus, although he is not different from Lord Kṛṣṇa, his formal appearance in the material world is as an incarnation is temporary. The original form of the personality of Godhead is actually the Swarupa or real form, and he eternally resides in the Vaikuntha world, Vishnu Loka. The word Mahatmanaha is used here to indicate Mahavishnu, and his real manifestation is Lord Kṛṣṇa, who is called Parama, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. The Supreme Lord is Krishna, the original personality of Godhead known as Govinda. His form is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and he is the original cause of all causes. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 11th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Calculation of Time from the Atom. Thank you, Prabhu.
Tadahur Aksharam Brahma Sarvakarana Karanam. So this Brahma, the Supreme, Tadahur, it is said that is Aksharam, Sarvakarana Karanam, is the cause of all causes. Vishnurdhama Parasakshat, Purushasya Mahatmanah. So he is called as Mahatmanah, Mahavishnu, who is having the Vishnurdham. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Lord Mahavishnu is resting in Yoga Nidra on the causal ocean. Okay, sometimes we read it as a casual ocean. So it is causal ocean, Karanarnava. Correct. This is Karana Sagar. Karana Sagar means all the Karanas reside there. Karana. Therefore, it's called as Karana Udakashayi Vishnu. He is the cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam. Creating innumerable universes that we have seen. Yasya Kanishvasita Kalamathavalambya. And he is the plenary portion of the Lord Sri Krishna. We have seen this. Bhagavatam doesn't explain this, but this is explained in the postgraduate study of Bhagavatam. Prabhupada says, Chaitanya Charitamrita, that the Supreme Lord Krishna expands into Lord Brahmaji, Lord Balaram, and Lord Balaram further expands into Chaturvyuha. And then, then there is from the Sankarshan comes Narayan, and then from another Chaturvyuha, and then, this expansion goes on. So this is how the Mahavishnu is one of the Kala Vishesha of the Supreme Lord. But from the Lord's perspective, from this, now what perspective we have seen? We have seen the time from the atomic perspective, time on the different planetary systems, time of Brahmaji, life of Brahmaji, the time of Mahavishnu. Now the time there is just one of the secondary variable. It's the secondary variable, right? And now we are seeing the time of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Golok Vrindavan, right? So from the Lord's perspective, it is like the bache niche garden mein gaye hai, let them go. And you just expand one of your form, and the time the children are playing there, and you are also lying there, and facilitating the child's play. So from that perspective, even the manifestation of Mahavishnu is also temporary, in the sense that it is just a facility provided for living entities to try to fulfill their desire to lording it over material nature. But the original form of the Lord Swarupa resides in Golok Vrindavan, and he is from whom the Mahavishnu comes, but the Parama is the Supreme Lord, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. And this is how we conclude the 10th canto, 11th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Calculation of Time from the Atom up to the Life of Brahma and Beyond. So we'll conclude here and continue tomorrow. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Prabhupada,
Krishna.
thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.